Hello, my name is Matthew, and I'm reading Don Quixote by Cervantes. And I was just talking about the comedic and tragic elements of this novel. The comedy comes from the story of a man that has read so many books on chivalry that it has rotted his mind and sends him off into the world dressed up as a knight with the goal of righting wrongs and going by the code of chivalry. And what follows is a series of misadventures that are just soaked, steeped in humor. And the tragedy of a person who, no matter how crazy the idea, has a dream and sets out to do it and fails miserably. And everyone around him knows that he's crazy, knows that he's doomed for failure, and against all odds, he believes that his worldview is correct and that he is doing the right thing, even though all of the evidence points in the other direction, that he's just misguided and crazy and wrong. I think that's extremely powerful. And I mentioned inspirational for anybody to read a story like this and think about their own lives and the goals that we all have in our life. There are two moments in this novel that I want to point out because of how dangerous that idea can be without having consideration for the people around you and the society and world that we live in. It's dangerous to just have a worldview and go through the world like a wrecking ball, not caring about the misfortunes that you're causing to other people. So there are two moments, and they are both callbacks that happen in the second half of the first part of the novel. One, I'm going to read a little passage, but the two moments, we have one where in Don Quixote's first adventure on his way back home after the incident at the inn, he runs across a man whipping a boy that's tied to a tree. And this is a wrong that needs to be righted. And Don Quixote stops, orders the man to untie the boy, hears their story, and determines that the man is going to pay the boy his month's salary. And Don Quixote is getting himself involved in something that is horrific, but doesn't follow through. Instead, he's going to go off on his own way and believes that because he's a knight, he can just tell the man that he's going to stop whipping the boy and pay him his money. The boy is pleading with him, do not leave me alone with this man. He's going to kill me. And Don Quixote just leaves. He says, if he doesn't pay you, I swear that I will never sleep until I right this wrong. But he doesn't stay in the moment. He starts something and he doesn't finish it. The second issue is also a callback, and it's the priest that we first encounter when Don Quixote does finally come back to his village after his first adventure, where he was bruised and beaten, incapacitated, unconscious, recovering in his room. And the priest and the barber show up, and every time the priest arrives, there's a a book burning sequence where the priest goes through the library deciding which books are acceptable to be left on the shelves and which books need to be burned. And it's a different side of the same coin, deciding with your own worldview what is right and what is wrong, without having any flexibility to all the different kinds of perspectives and viewpoints that make this world so great. One of these episodes is showing this danger through tragedy. The other episode with the priest, I believe, is much more lighthearted, even though just as dangerous. And so the little boy that Don Quixote first encountered orders him to be released by the man that had him whipped, and leaves. That little boy shows back up. He's in search of Don Quixote. And when he finds him, Don Quixote wants to brag to the band of people around him. Sancho Panza, I believe the priest and the barber are there at this point, the madman, the beautiful woman. And he's going to use this, Don Quixote believes he's going to use this little boy, that when the boy starts speaking, it will be an example of one of his great deeds. And instead, the boy recounts the horrific experience, made more horrific by the involvement of Don Quixote. And the little boy says, as soon as your grace crossed the road and we were alone, he tied me to the same oak tree again and gave me so many more lashes that I was flayed like Saint Bartholomew. And with each lash he mocked you and made a joke about how he had fooled your grace. And if I hadn't been feeling so much pain, I'd have laughed at what he said. But the fact is he raised so many welts that until I've been in a hospital because of the harm the wicked peasant did to me. Your grace is to blame for everything. Don Quixote is to blame for everything. Because if you had continued on your way and not come when nobody was calling you, or mixed into other people's business, my master would have been satisfied with giving me 1 or 2 dozen lashes, and then he would have let me go and paid me what he owed me. But your grace dishonored him for no reason, and called him so many names that he lost his temper. And since he couldn't take revenge on your grace, when we were alone he vented his anger on me, so that it seems to me I won't be the same man again for the rest of my life. The little boy gives a concluding statement. For the love of God, Senior Knight Errant, if you ever run into me again, even if you see them chopping me to pieces, don't help me and don't come to my aid, but leave me alone with my misfortune, no matter how bad it is. It won't be worse than what will happen to me when I am helped by your grace. And may God curse you and all the knights errant ever born in this world. It's powerful. It's sad. The other episode, the priest is found again at the inn. Sancho Panza is on his way to deliver a letter for Don Quixote. The priest and the barber are at the inn that Sancho Panza was being tossed by the blanket. They have to retrieve Don Quixote. There's an adventure. They arrive back at the inn. And there's the discussion about how Don Quixote had read all of these books and that he's gone mad, and how evil these works are. And the innkeeper mentions that he has a small collection of the same kind of books, and yet he did not go mad. And the priest says something like, well, let me see your collection. And so the priest starts going through the innkeeper's bookshelves, just the way that he did going through Don Quixote's bookshelves in Don Quixote's home in the village. And so he's reading off the works. He's reading off the books. The priest pulls one out and reads the title and author, and pulls another one out, gets a handful of books, and says, Okay, well, we need to burn these. The innkeeper goes, what? You're gonna burn my books? And he explains they're for diversion and idle entertainment. They are inherently evil. It's not the word of God. And he's going through the books, and then finally the priest comes across a book. He has a whole pile of books that he's going to burn, and the priest finally comes across a book and says, "Well, I haven't read this one," which I think is so funny, but also dangerous and hypocritical and just awful. Just awful. So now he's come across a book that he hasn't read, and instead of wanting to burn it, he wants to read it, which means he's read all these books that he wants to have burned, but believes that no one else should be reading these books. So we have two moments of the effects of two people that have railroad focused worldviews and the consequences that can have for the people around them. One is a boy being tortured, another is an innkeeper having his books being burned. That turns into, we actually read the book that the innkeeper has and the priest hasn't read, which turns into one of the short stories or novellas that completely breaks from the narrative until that story concludes. So, just some more thoughts on my reading of Don Quixote by Cervantes, translated by Edith Grossman. Let me know if you have any thoughts. So, thank you for watching. Please leave a comment if you would like, and take care.